day 14. And the lockdown's been extended for another 2 weeks at least. I can't take it anymore. Okay, I'm not really drunk. In fact, this is just water. I'm almost teetotal. First expression of the day. Teetotal means that you don't drink any alcohol. And I'm practically teetotal. I certainly haven't touched a drop in the last 2 weeks. Okay, the lockdown's been extended, but it's okay. You know, the most important things in life, it's stuff like having conversations with friends, family, loved ones, face to face, or via Skype or WhatsApp. It doesn't matter. That's much more important than going shopping for stuff you probably don't need, or sightseeing in old town centres, or diving off far-flung tropical beaches. No, it's just about communicating with people you love, and we can still do that even in lockdown. However, being in lockdown has made me appreciate a lot of things. Do you know the expression to take something for granted? To take something for granted. That means that you consider certain things normal or expected, and then maybe you find out that they are not. So, for example, until the lockdown, I took it for granted that I could just go out and go for a walk into town. I can't do that anymore. I took it for granted that I could go to cafes and restaurants and meet my friends. I can't do that anymore. I took it for granted that I can go and hop on a train and go back to visit London, my hometown. I had a ticket for yesterday, by the way. I'm still here in Paris. I can't do that anymore. And in a more general sense, you could say, for example, I take it for granted that I can turn on the tap and drink the water. This is water. I can just drink the water from the tap. But in many parts of the world, you can't do that. You can't drink the water from the tap. You might not even have water in your house, but we take it for granted. Okay, second expression. And it's the weekend now, and I know a lot of you like to go out at the weekend, but we can't at the moment, so we have to adapt. So I do have some ideas for you. Instead of going for a walk in the park, you can have a nice conversation with your plant. No, it was Jack Lemmon and Shirley MacLaine in the apartment, not Liza Minnelli, you idiot. Instead of going to the nightclub, you could rearrange the fruit bowl. Okay, maybe I'll put the apple here and the lemon here. No, I'll put the banana here and the clementine over on this side. Yeah, that looks nice, doesn't it? What do you think? Instead of going to the bar, you could clean the windows. Yeah, when was the last time you did that? Okay, now, your vocabulary and grammar questions. Let's do this thing. Right, the first question is from Isabel Atens in Sao Paulo in Brazil. Hello, Isabel. And she asks, is it true that you always use handsome for a man and beautiful or pretty for a woman? Interesting question. And the answer is most of the time, yes. There are exceptions. You might say, especially a younger guy, she's a beautiful boy, beautiful guy, pretty boy. It exists. Much more common to say that about a girl. And the same with handsome. Usually handsome you say about a guy, a handsome guy. However, you might say it about a woman, particularly an older woman who looks very well dressed, very elegant. You might say, oh, you're looking very, very handsome today. So you could say that, I don't know, about the Queen. I'm not a royalist, by the way, but just use it as an example. Well, the Queen, she's 90, I don't know, 5, and she looks very handsome. Less likely for a younger woman. By the way, you can also use handsome for money. So, for example, £1 million, that's a handsome sum. Will you do some work for me? don't worry, I will pay you handsomely for it. Okay, so that's another use of the word handsome. Thank you, Isabel. Oh, I've got a question from my colleague here, my colleague Sean, who emailed me about the difference between drink and beverage. A drink and a beverage. Because he says, why do we need two words? Don't they mean the same thing? And I did some research and actually no. There you are. Is this a drink or a beverage? Actually, it's a drink because a beverage means a drink excluding water. That's right. And this is water. So the idea of a beverage, it's a drink to be enjoyed, and the idea of a drink is that it's something to quench your thirst. So they kind of have different functions. So there you are. And of course, drink is a more common word, but they do have slightly different meanings. Okay, thank you, Sean. Next question. From Ira Romanovna in Ukraine. Hello, Ira. Is it all right to say if I were you? Yes, I said that in the last video. It's kind of a fixed expression, if I were you, not if I was you, because it's a subjunctive. Actually, it's a past subjunctive. And in the past subjunctive, it's just visible in the verb to be in the past. And all you need to remember is it's were for all cases. And I'm not going to explain the subjunctive today. You can, we'll do that another time. Also, in the second conditional, after if, you would put were, not was. So, for example, if my grandmother were alive today, she would love, I don't know, what would she love? Netflix, okay, whatever. Oh, yeah. You and Owen pointed out that I made a grammatical mistake in my last video. Okay, yeah. Because I was talking about gradable and non-gradable adjectives. And I said that non-gradable adjectives, you wouldn't put very in front of them. What do I mean by non-gradable adjective? One that's either yes or no. For example, dead. You can't be very dead. You can't be a little bit dead. So you're dead or you're not dead. So you don't put very in front of it. Exhausted. You're exhausted or you're not exhausted. You're not a little bit exhausted. You can be very tired, but not very exhausted. And he said that I used the phrase very delicious. And he is right, because yes, delicious is a non-gradable adjective. In my defense, in spoken English, I'm sure a lot of people would say very delicious. The food was very delicious. If you're talking formally or written English, then the word very doesn't add anything to it. For example, thank you for the delicious meal. Thank you for the very delicious meal. No, not necessary. So if I'm writing, I'll probably say thank you for the delicious meal. So you caught me out there. I did make a mistake. There are one or two other examples where people do use very in front of non-gradable adjectives. I think it's unique. That's another one. This antique is very unique. Well, unique means only one, so you don't need to add very. But a lot of people will say it, so I guess it's okay in spoken English at least. The next question is from Skasica or Shasika in Romania. Hello, Skasica. A question about when in certain verbs are followed by a verb in the infinitive or a verb with ing. Okay, so that's an interesting question. By the way, some of this, part of this question, I've answered in other videos. So I'm not going to go into in great detail, but I'm going to give you some extra information. So, for example, stop. Stop to do or stop doing. What's the difference? Stop to smoke, stop smoking. What's the difference? Well, I'm not going to answer it. You can check out the video up here. The same is true with like. There are, sometimes it's the same, sometimes it's different with the verb like to do or like doing. Videos up here. And also with try to do try doing. That's also, there's different meanings for that, and you can check that out here. But a few I haven't covered: the verb regret, which can be followed by an infinitive, and that means to give someone bad news, usually the news that you are not responsible for. You are informing someone of bad news. So, for example, I regret to inform you that your friend has passed away. Okay, you're giving bad news. I regret to tell you that your application has not been successful on this occasion. It's not our fault. It's your fault, really. You weren't a good applicant. So that's for giving bad news. However, if you put regret followed by ing, it means a personal regret. You did something you shouldn't have done. So I regret killing the man. Now I'm in prison for the rest of my life. I regret killing the man. I really regret calling you a bloody bastard. Sorry about that. I regret it deeply. Okay. If you're using the negative, if it's a negative regret in the past, you put not before the verb. I regret not telling you the truth. I should have told you the truth. I regret lying to you. I regret not telling you the truth. Okay, so that is a regret, but it's a negative regret. If there's no regret, then you say, I don't regret killing the man. I'm in prison for the rest of my life, yes, but he deserved it. Okay, so there is no regrets there. Another example is remember. Now, remember you can use with infinitive or with ing with different meanings. So when you have a memory of something in the past, you use remember with ing. I remember visiting Stonehenge as a kid. Okay. I remember meeting my wife for the first time all those years ago. If you use remember with an infinitive, it means to put a memory in somebody's head or your head. Okay, so for example, can you, what is it? I'm going away. Can you remember to water the plant while I'm away? Thank you. Oh, I'm going out shopping. I must remember to buy bananas. Okay, so that's remember plus infinitive. And there's one more I've got here, and that's to go on. It's an interesting one because the meanings can be very different. So go on plus ing means to continue doing something. So for example, I spoke to him and he started talking about his holiday, and he went on talking about his holiday for over an hour, which means he continued talking about his holiday. Okay, but go on can also mean, when it's followed by an infinitive, it can mean change the subject to something else. So for example, he was talking about his new car and then he went on to talk about his holiday. Okay, so that's changing the subject. Interestingly, usually the rule is in English that after a preposition, the verb is always in the ing form, and there's always an exception to the rule, and this seems to be an exception. I can't think of many other cases. So go on plus an infinitive, yes, that's possible. Okay, well, that's it. So thank you once again. Stay healthy. Carry on sending me your grammar and other questions, and I'm going to enjoy my beverage now. Well, not beverage, my drink, water, tap water, and see you next time.